What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Legends of Tomorrow, Season 6, Episode 1, Ground Control to Sara Lance. Overall, pretty good, fun start to the season. Not without its issues, but this show, there's something about it where I feel like I don't take it as seriously as I do the other shows because most of the time it feels like the show is not taking itself that seriously. And I think that's where, when I look at like what Supergirl does or what Batwoman does, it feels like those shows are trying to be so powerful, so impactful, like really try to mean something that it comes off as just disingenuous because it feels more so like they are writing specifically to try to say something, and because of that it all gets sort of lost and muddied in the terrible writing. Legends of Tomorrow, sure, they've had some moments where it feels like they're trying to stand up and say something, and honestly that's where I feel like it gets weaker. When it's the most strong, I feel, is whenever it's just having fun. This idea of a team of time travelers traveling through and just trying to solve all of these problems where the timeline is in jeopardy, that's fun. That is enjoyable. It's a good time, you know? So yeah, I feel like this first episode, it's nothing too special, but it's not bad. It's fun. I had a good time. As far as the little individual stories, Gary being an alien, if you've watched my reviews before, you know I'm not the biggest fan of Gary because I feel like he can be a fun little punching bag. It's whenever they try to give him more of a purpose that he can get a little annoying to me. This one, it was kind of mixed. Like, finding out he was an alien the whole time, that was kind of like, why? What? Like, it feels like they wanted a reason for aliens to be involved, and they're like, let's have Gary have been an alien the whole time, because why not? That being said, it wasn't all bad, because there were some funny lines, like whenever they're about to travel through the wormhole after Sarah's kicked the other alien out of the ship, him going like, yeah, my fiance was a much better pilot. That thing was your fiance? Oh yeah, we're supposed to get married, but it's fine. Like, I don't know, something about that. It's the self-deprecating humor, I guess, of just, he had Sarah essentially probably not kill, but get rid of his fiance. And he just sort of shrugs it off like, oh well, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's just, something's funny about that to me, and that's the type of character that I feel like Gary does best. It's whenever they try to make him matter to the story and actually have these deep moments, that's when I kind of lose interest, because I don't feel like I want to see Gary in those situations. I prefer him when he's the punching bag. The stuff with like Constantine and Zari, just whatever. Their romance is sort of sudden and out of nowhere. It felt better when it was more of just a fling because, hey, you know what? Why not? And now it feels like they're trying to make it a lot deeper and a lot more meaningful. And again, most of this show doesn't feel very meaningful. I don't feel like they do that very well. Even with like Sara and Ava, like they've made a fine couple up until now because, they've had fun with it. But now all of a sudden they're trying to make this deep emotional, like Sarah's like, I'm gonna propose to my girlfriend, and they show Ava getting all teary eyed and stuff. I don't know, that to me that's not as fun. It's just kind of like, okay, so now we're trying to make it this big emotional, I gotta get Sara back so she can propose to me and we can be together forever. I don't need all of that. It's somebody, if it's somebody you love, like I feel like if she just wanted to go after Sara because she loved her, that would have been fine. And then at the end of it, whenever they get back together and they find her and they save her, that can be the moment where Sara pulls out the ring and be like, oh, by the way. It would be funnier if it was almost treated like an afterthought, not as if it's the driving force for this season, guys, because Ava and Sara, they're going to be together. They got to get married. It makes it feel like it's trying to be more important than it really is. And again, I feel like that's where the show loses my interest a bit more. It's like the stuff with Mick and his daughter. Like in this one, it's treated more as a little throwaway joke. Like, oh yeah, you're such a great dad, Mick, because he took his daughter home to his mom. That's a funny scene. Whenever he's having those emotional moments last season, and he's talking about, like, oh, I just don't know if I'm going to be a good father. Like, that's not as interesting. So that's kind of where I am on most of these stories. when they're having fun with it, when they're making jokes, it's kind of interesting. When they try to get really deep and emotional and, oh, it's so powerful, that's where I feel like I'm just not quite as interested. I feel like I lose focus a little bit more. And I don't know. I know it's weird because most of the time you want a show to be deeper. You want it to, have more meaning and not just be one note. But there's something about this show. There's a certain charm to the fact that it doesn't really get that deep most of the time. It's kind of just a fun romp. I feel like I prefer it when it's there because that's what it feels like the show is set up for. If you think about the concept of it, time traveling people, a team, I don't feel like that sets up for this deep emotional impact. The way they do it too, the characters they have, they're a bunch of goofy, fun characters. So, yeah, that may just be my opinion, but that's where I am on it. I'm trying to remember. There was that one girl that showed up. I'm guessing she's probably going to be a part of the team, which I'm not looking forward to. I don't remember her name. It's the one that Nate. Nick is the actor's name. Nate is the name of the character, I'm pretty sure. But he found her because apparently she got abducted by aliens and now she can talk to them. She's just, I don't know, her acting is a little weird. It feels like the accent is very forced. And even just like the first time we see her, it was not a great start because she shoots Bayrod and what's his name? Mick. She shot both of them from behind. And Mick had made some comment like, oh, I guess she's not just some dumb hillbilly. And she shoots him, I guess not. I don't know, the way she said it, it feels like she's really forcing out the words and the accent. It doesn't feel like it's just a natural, she's just speaking, because that's who she is. Maybe she does have this accent, maybe she's just, I don't know, her acting's not great, but it feels like the accent is where I'm losing it. But we'll see. I'm assuming because she seems to be a divining rod almost for aliens because of whatever tracker thing they put in her when they abducted her. I'm assuming she's going to be a part of the team for the rest of the season. And I don't know if they're setting up her and Bayrod as a couple, but it felt weird that he was the only one checking up on her and he was like, yeah, I get you. Like, you totally, I understand where you're coming from. Maybe it's just me, but I'm so used to these shows seemingly setting up romances whenever they can. So it feels like you put Bayrod and her in a room together all alone and he says something like that. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so are they setting him up for romance later this season? It's kind of what it feels like. Yeah. All in all, though, I mean, it was fine. Again, pretty fun. Stuff with Spartacus was kind of funny. Him getting eaten by the alien was interesting choice, but yeah, it is what it is. It's Legends of Tomorrow. I'm not expecting some great drama. I just like having fun with it, and so far, for the most part, I feel like that's what they're doing. So, on to the next episode. I'll see you there. And now, episode 2, Meet the Legends. Another fairly good one. Enjoyable. Had some fun with it. Definitely not a good episode to watch while you're eating lunch. But other than that, I mean, yeah, it was good. The alien in this one was nice and disgusting, like most aliens tend to be. Honestly, all I could think of was Men in Black, just because, they also had a bug-like alien that ate people. So yeah, I mean, overall, it was good, though. It was enjoyable. The drama between Zari and Bayrod, I'm just kind of on it. And honestly, it gets solved in kind of the weirdest way where the Zari that's inside the totem is just like, oh, well, I know how to split this in half just like that. That seems a little too easy, and maybe we'll find out, it has its drawbacks, like maybe it has the power that they have, or maybe only one of them can use it at a time, or I don't know how that's going to work, but yeah, it's one of those things where it was kind of a weird thing to get brought up in this one, and their bickering throughout the episode was just not that interesting. And so at the end, when it's solved with such a simple kind of deus ex machina, I was just wondering, why did we have to sit through all that bickering then? The stuff with Sarah and Gary on this other planet, meeting Amelia Earhart. That's probably the weakest part of it for me. And I think a lot of that is just down to I prefer the team working together in this show. So whenever you have these little side things going on with a couple of characters, especially when one of them, unfortunately, is Gary, um, most of the time they spend less time crapping on Gary, which is what I enjoy about his character. And so because of that, we spend a lot more time with him being an asset, and I just don't think he makes a good asset, unfortunately. Nothing against the guy playing him. Like, he plays the part very well. I just think the way that they've written the character of Gary, I prefer it when he's not being helpful and when he's kind of, again, being the butt of the joke. But whenever you've got only two people and one of them is Gary, then he has to be somewhat helpful, or else the other person would be dead, and they are obviously are not going to kill off Sarah. So yeah, I don't know. I always feel like, because they've done this before with him and I think it was Nate when they were working in the Time Bureau together and they had their own separate little story going on. I felt like that was the weakest part of that season where it was happening. And so here again, even with Amelia Earhart showing up, I thought, okay, that could be kind of interesting. And then almost immediately you get this sense that something is off about her. And so I'm thinking, okay, so probably she's either an alien that has disguised themselves as Amelia Earhart, or there's something about this place that's turned her. And by the end of it, all we really know is that, I don't know, she was bad. She tried to kill Sarah. That's all I got from that. I don't know whether this was an alien who disguised themselves as Amelia Earhart, or maybe it was like it used Amelia Earhart as a host, or if something about this place caused Amelia Earhart to become something evil and, I don't know, more alien. But I guess the mystery of where they are and everything going on and why Gary was instructed to kidnap Sarah in the first place, that is a little interesting. I am curious to see what the whole plan is for this season and what this other world is and who this, what do they call him? Power Lord, I think Gary said. Whoever it is that wants to collect the strongest creatures, is it just for something like, oh, I want to create this ultimate battle tournament? Is it, I don't know why that came to mind. Is it just looking for an army to create? Is it something else entirely? Are they looking to create like the UN of all these different worlds, and so they're getting like one being that's the strongest for each of their worlds to be the ambassador or something like that? I don't know. So there is a little bit of intrigue there, just see what the mystery is, but that's about the only thing that's going on that has caught my interest at all. What's her name? I want to say Cooper, but I don't think that's right. I think it's something with two O's. I can't remember if it's Cooper or Schooner or what it is, but the new girl for this season, she lost her accent already, it feels like. Because last episode she definitely had kind of a very, like I said, forced Southern accent, but it feels like that's already sort of gone. Like, she's talking a lot more just normal American accent is the best way I can describe it. Maybe a little hint of like a Hispanic tint to the voice, that's the best way I can describe it. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems weird that it felt like she was very Southern drawl last episode, almost trying to like emulate McConaughey. And now in this episode, she just, tiny little flecks of Southern accents thrown in there. But other than that, she just acting very normally. And honestly, her acting is not as bad as it was the first episode. So hopefully that means she's getting better. As far as her story, though, I feel like there's going to be something about her that we're going to find out later. Obviously, we got a little bit of backstory about her in this episode. But the fact, the whatever it is that she's using to communicate and track down these aliens, it's not something physical that Gideon could find. So it does make me wonder if maybe she's an alien and she doesn't even know it, especially with this whole thing about her wanting to essentially hunt down aliens. We've seen something similar with was it Charlie, I think. The idea that all of these anomalies that they were hunting down were something evil and needed to be killed. But then Charlie was the first one that they met that seemed a lot more human, seemed like, oh, well, maybe we don't want to kill them all. I'm wondering if it's going to be something similar here, but just in her mind, she sees all aliens as evil. She wants to hunt down and kill every single one of them. But then she's going to find out she's an alien later on. I don't know if that's where they're going with it, but I feel like that could be kind of an interesting storyline to see how does she cope with that. Does she hate aliens that much to where she will want to kill herself in the process? I don't know. It's just something that popped into my mind. So we'll see what they decide to do with it. But yeah, all in all, pretty solid episode with some gross moments. And again, really glad that they decided to do that right while I'm eating lunch. But I guess I won't be having this potato salad. So anyways, that's it for the second episode. On to the final of these three. I'll see you there. And now episode 3, The X Factor. So honestly, this one was not so much my cup of tea, mainly because, music is something I enjoy, but especially the more like modern style of music I haven't really gotten into. I'm much more a fan of like classic, like 80s, 90s, that sort of era. So yeah, this one was definitely a little bit more focused on that, and also it was focused on Zari and John's relationship, and it's one where, for the fun of it, it's kind of funny. There are some moments when they can be funny together as a couple, but the way they're treating it in this episode, it's very emotional, and they're in love now, and oh my goodness, isn't it so sweet? And I just don't feel any of that, because honestly, so far they have just been a hookup. And all of a sudden, over the past couple episodes, it's been, but guys, don't you want more? And I don't really care about them as a couple. I don't know. Honestly, the best thing that's come out of their relationship is the funny idea that Nate is sitting there watching his former girlfriend, but it's not his girlfriend anymore, hooking up with Constantine. Like, there's something funny about that thought, but they're not really exploring that. And I'm not saying I want Nate to get all jealous and have that stupid, like, love triangle BS storyline. I don't want that. But it would be funnier if we got a few more jokes where you could see Nate is kind of like, yeah, this is weird. Because they did actually have, when Nate was talking to David Bowie in the first episode, they had a joke about that. Where he was like, I was talking to about Zari. Not you, 1.0. That was a funny joke. And even just the whole, like, Zara being like, yeah, this is weird. Like, there is something very funny and weird about this whole situation, but they're not really exploring it now because they're focusing on, well, are Zari and John going to make it, like, official? And, like, are they falling in love? Or what's happening with them? And that's where I lose interest, again, because I'm not going into these shows looking for a lot of, like, deep emotional romance, especially in this show, because this show, more than any of them, it feels like most of the hookups have been sort of, we're on a team together, we're just traveling through time. We don't get to make any emotional connections with other people because most of the time those people are living in a completely different timeline than we are. So it's hard to make those emotional connections. So most of the time those connections happen on the team, but most of them have been shallow. Again, Ava and Sara have been the only one that I feel like they've actually given some decent depth to. We started to see them grow together, first as comrades, as co-workers basically, and then we started to see maybe there's something a little deeper there. We got to know each of them on a deeper level. And it really did feel like they grew them as a couple as well. Everybody else, it feels like they, I don't know, just sort of out of nowhere, it's like, oh, they're in love. And it's just too fast, and it doesn't feel like, I don't get connected to those relationships when they do that. So yeah, overall this episode, it had some funny moments. The idea of them being on an X Factor, American Idol type show, like, that is funny. And seeing Nate and Bayrod basically become Constantine's, like, I don't know what to call it, stylists, I guess. That was funny. Some of the jokes with DJ S'more, whatever his name is, like, I think his character is stupid, but at the same time, I'm like, I could unfortunately see him being this type of, there could exist in the future something like this. And that's where also it's hard for me to tell how much of this is parody, how much of this is being made fun of, and how much of this is like, oh no, this is the future we want, guys. Because like all of the moments, like the alien in this episode. Oh, we from our planet, all of us are genderless binary people. We all carry children. Oh, perfect. Like I don't know if that's supposed to be like a joke. Like, haha, look how this is our future, guys. Like, we're all going to be super 100% progressive and totally accepting of everything no matter what, but not some stuff. Only stuff that we... Like, that's the thing. I can't tell. Are they making jokes here, or are they like, yeah, guys, this stuff is awesome. See, the future is going to be great. If we could just, get things in the right direction. Like the eating the cup thing. Oh, yeah, the world's finally eco-friendly. Took a little too long, if you ask me. Is that a joke, or is that like a, hey guys, this is the future we need to have? Because I'm looking at some of this, I'm like, some of this seems stupid to me. So I don't know. That's, again, the disconnect there. It's hard for me to really know what the show wants to show, what it's trying to show, and also I guess whether or not they're making jokes or whether they're trying to push this. And that's, I don't know. It's hard for me to tell sometimes. But all in all, I mean, it was a fine episode, just not one that connected with me very well, mainly because of the whole music aspect of it. But still fun, still enjoyable. So I'm having a good time so far. 3 episodes in, it's pretty good. The stuff with Sara and Gary I almost forgot about, because it was very limited in this episode. But we see they're being seemingly attacked. Gary goes full alien, eats some of the guards. Then we find out the guards are all Ava clones, and then that's when I guess the twist happens, and we realize, this is a planet full of Ava clones, and these are the security on this planet. And then we meet I'm guessing this is going to be the power-hungry guy that Gary was talking about in the last episode. I guess we'll find out more about him. That still has a slight bit of intrigue to find out what his overall plan is and what's going on. The fact that he has a bunch of Ava clones as his security team is kind of interesting, but it also feels like they're using it more for like, oh guys, Sara, she sees Ava. Oh, this is so sad. And it's like this emotional moment with music behind it. Again, I don't really think they do the emotional moments that well in this show. Occasionally it's gotten me, but for the most part, I feel like the funnier moments are the strongest point of the show. So I don't know. But anyways, all that being said, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 3 episodes? Let me know. We could talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe. Future Legends of Tomorrow reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.